Hey, what's going on everybody? My name is David A. Stone and welcome to another exciting episode of Develop Awesome Skills. Behind me is my kitchen here at Stonehaven that I built, and now I'm gonna show you how I built it. This was back in 2016 and I never actually published these videos, so let's do this. Okay, so I got my piece of birch here. This is a solid birch board, 3/4 inch. I really like the grain pattern, so I'm actually going to be putting this along my wall and stain it and seal it with the teak oil, and then put some epoxy over it, just like my countertop. But right now, I have to cut where my conduit goes. So on the back here, I actually did some numbers, marked that this is the south side of number 4. This is the north side of number 3, just so I know, because I actually want to match up these grain patterns along the wall. I don't just want to throw them in anywhere. So I just want to give myself some reference numbers. So I have all my measurements that I made here. I just drew a little picture of my wall, sliced it up, numbered them, and measured them. So now I know where everything goes and how long it needs to be. So I'm going to cut these measurements starting with the first one. And the first one is actually only I might have to move some of my other Ryobi tools down there because I'm getting so many awesome Ryobi tools now, but there's so many of them. They're all used for specific reasons and different purposes. And it's always nice to have the tool you need when you need it. And this whole row of tools probably, cost me much less than any other tools, and they're very high quality. They, I don't know, people say that the less expensive tools break down quicker, but they really haven't. I mean, these are very, very quality tools, and I've used them to build my whole house so far. So, and they're still gonna work after that. So so it's always nice to save a few bucks and get an awesome tool. So I do really like Ryobi, especially the cordless battery powered ones, because man, you could just crank and there's no cords to worry about. But sometimes you need a corded appliance, and when you do, you know it. Here's another one. There's a bad boy. So number 1 is going to be number 5 on my list, 4 5/8 inches. So we got 4 5/8. I sharpened the pencil so it'll give me a nice mark. Measure it again. 4 5/8, right in the middle of that line. So I'm going to take this laser and I'm going to line it up right to the left of that line. And when I put my blade down, I'm actually going to check the mark first. because this has to be precision cuts. We got to make these exact. So I want to make sure that before I pull this trigger, I'm ready to do it perfectly. So as I set the blade down, I can see that the blade's going to eat up part of that line. So I think it's going to be exact right now. The laser is a nice guide and you can get to use it, but I would always rely on where the blade's going to touch the board. And when you're doing finish work, I let the blade stop while it's down instead of pulling it back out through the same hole, because I don't want it to rip the board. So there's my first little piece, 4 5/8. So I got that exact. So I'm going to keep going exactly. You want to make sure that precision is the key to building anything. Precision is the key to building anything. So you really, anything that looks nice. So you just want to make sure you're very precise. Measure twice, cut once. Measure 3 times, cut once. You know, do a lot of planning before you actually do this stuff, and then you get exactly what you want. I'm gonna really love the stain on this wood. So number 2 is my number 4 on my list. So it's 28 3/4. And 3/4. Very handy to have a square around. There's so many uses for this thing. I don't know how to do everything that it does, but it's very useful. But this is the most useful thing I've found. Gives you a nice straight line that you can measure your laser on and make sure you're cutting properly. So 28 3/4. Let's measure the blade. Where does it touch down? Perfect, right on the edge of that line. So it's going to take off half of the line. There'll still be a little bit of the line there. That out. $28 3/4. So keep in mind, you can do anything. Anybody can build anything they want. Just the good builders, the people that have been doing it a long time, know precision matters. And so, you know, you can do this. It's really not that hard. You just have to really look at that tape measure and really be precise. All right, number 3. 37 3/4. And keep in mind, when you draw your line, you'll get to know this, but you know, don't put don't put this guide right on your line. You actually have to put it back a little bit because the width of your pencil lead. I know that's pretty much everybody probably knows that, but it'll get you a nice line right on your mark. If you get, and then you kind of, I scoot it a little bit when I miss the mark, and I kind of make sure that line actually hits that mark. So then I'm right in the middle of that mark right now. So I know when I redo my measurement that I'm going to want to take this whole line off. 37 3/4. Actually, I'm going to want to leave that line. So the line is perfect. I'm going to leave that line with the blade. Just barely going to touch it. There it is, right there. Yeah, it's right on. I might have to just give these a little trim to pop them in the holes, but I don't mind if they're a little bit bigger. All right, so we got number 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, which is number 2, 43 inches. All right, so number 6, 65 inches. I'm actually going to give myself, I have to move the electrical outlet for this, so I'm actually going to give myself a little bit more than 65. I can always trim this off later. Inches. All right, I'm gonna go dry fit these boards now. All right, so I got those cut and they actually fit perfectly in between all my measurements. So when you cut perfect, just make sure that you're cutting with precision but those grains will flow together because it's the same piece of wood, which is kind of interesting. These are going to look great when they're stained. And then over here I actually have to move this. Over here I have to move this electrical conduit that runs down, runs too close to the countertop. I have to undo this outlet, undo where it connects to a box behind this counter. So I actually have to cut a little access panel. Undo that, pull the wires through this way and chop off a whole bunch of that. And then I'll take that piece, I'll put it underneath this one, which means I'll have to pull the wires all the way out of the conduit, fish them through that one, fish them through the conduit again, and reattach it up higher. So I should probably get to that job since that's the hardest one of the day. But I also have to stain these boards. So I should probably start with the hardest, work my way to the easiest. All right, so I have to cut a access panel in the back of this cabinet because you can see the conduit right here. That conduit runs down and there's a junction box right here. So I need to slice a panel out so I can actually undo the electrical and move that conduit to countertop up. So I've decided to use this handy dandy circular saw here, and I adjusted the guard to where, you know, barely any is coming out. I really just want to slice just through this. Definitely I don't want to hit the conduit. So I'm gonna start right now. Now I'm gonna get in here with this DeWalt hacksaw that I bought that you can kind of take apart, configure in different situations, and actually put a Sawzall blade in there. But I'm just gonna kind of take out the rest of these corners.